She's on her knees, the tears are ruined by mascara, and she's telling you that you're the only man she's ever truly loved. But your brain is screaming because it can't reconcile that declaration of love with the digital evidence currently burned into your retinas. You are standing at the most dangerous crossroads of your life, and the map you've used for years has just been deleted. Most men think that forgiveness is a sign of strength, but when you're standing in the wreckage of a betrayal, instant forgiveness is often just a psychological white flag. It is the moment you tell her and the world that your boundaries are negotiable and your pain has a price tag. Today, we are going to look at the hidden mechanics of the apology. We are going to explain why "I'm sorry" is often the first line of a new script of deception, and how you can tell the difference between true remorse and the fear of getting caught. If you're wondering why your gut is telling you to run, while your heart is telling you to rescue, it's because you're caught in a masculine hero trap. Let's dismantle the theater of the plea before you sign a contract that will liquidate your self-respect for the next decade. The first thing you have to understand is the biology of the bait. When a woman is caught in a betrayal, her system goes into survival mode. She knows that your primary directive as a man is to protect and provide. To stop you from leaving, she has to trigger your protective instinct, even if she has to protect herself from you. The tears, the shaking, the sudden vulnerability. These are biological signals designed to make you drop your shield. If you comfort her in the moment you should be evaluating her, you have lost the sovereignty of the interaction. You are no longer the judge of the betrayal. You have become the social worker for the betrayer. This role reversal is the foundation of the cycle of repeat offending. This leads directly into the mirage of remorse. There is a massive psychological difference between remorse and regret. Regret is what she feels for the consequences. The loss of her lifestyle, the damage to her reputation, the inconvenience of your anger. Remorse is what she feels for the action itself. If her apology is focused on how hard this is for her, how much she's suffering, or how she can't live without you, she is in regret. She is mourning her loss, not your pain. True remorse is quiet. It is accountable. It doesn't demand a hug. It accepts the silence as the cost of the crime. Think about the emotional bankruptcy of Liam. Liam was a man who believed in second chances as a moral duty. When he found out his fiancée had been leading a double life, he was devastated. But when she confessed, only after he showed her the photos, she stayed up for 48 hours crying in his lap. She told him she was lost, she was confused, and that he was the only thing that kept her sane. Liam felt a surge of power. He felt needed. He thought his forgiveness was saving her soul. Liam is the loser in our story because he engaged in the janitor protocol. He spent the next 2 years cleaning up the mess she made. He blocked the other man for her. He checked her location every hour. He became the warden of her loyalty. He thought he was rebuilding the relationship, but he was actually just financing his own paranoia, because he forgave before she transformed. She never had to internalize the weight of her choice. She eventually cheated again, this time more carefully, because she knew that Liam's love was actually just fear of being alone, disguised as mercy. Liam proved that a man who rescues a betrayer from the consequences of her actions is just training her to be a better liar. He lost his youth and his sanity trying to water a plastic plant. The fourth major pattern is the weaponization of the why. When she asks for forgiveness, she will often offer an explanation that sounds like a reason. She was stressed. You were distant. The alcohol was too much. This is a psychological diversion. By giving you a why, she is inviting you to argue with the circumstances rather than facing the character. If you accept the why, you are accepting the excuse. The sovereign man understands that the why is irrelevant. The action is the identity. If the conditions made her betray you once, then she is a variable, not a constant. You cannot build a fortress with a variable. We must also analyze the forgiveness deadline. Have you noticed that after the initial apology, her patience starts to thin? If you are still hurting a month later, she says things like, "Are we ever going to get past this?" Or, "I can't keep being punished forever." This is the accountability threshold. She didn't want forgiveness. She wanted amnesia. She wants the reset button pressed, so she doesn't have to look at the monster in the mirror every time she looks at you. If her apology comes with an expiration date on your grief, then the apology was a manipulation, not a medication. Furthermore, behavioral observations of the trauma loop suggest that the first choice is the only choice that matters. Your first reaction to her plea for forgiveness sets the market value of your loyalty. If you fold immediately, you have devalued your presence. You are telling her that the price of betraying you is one weekend of crying. This is a bargain any cheater is willing to pay. Sovereignty means withdrawing the presence until the market corrects. It means knowing that silence is a higher form of communication than interrogation. The sixth sign is the projection of shame. Watch if her plea for forgiveness eventually turns into anger at your lack of trust. This is the psychological pivot. She tries to make your suspicion the problem so that she can stop being the villain. She wants to forgive you for not trusting her. It is a masterclass in gaslighting. If you find yourself defending your right to be hurt, you have already lost the throne. You are haggling over the scraps of a dead vow. The reality is that true forgiveness is an internal release, not an external permission. You can forgive her for your own peace while still removing her from your life. Men often confuse forgiveness with reconciliation. You can release the anger and still enforce the exit. In fact, the most sovereign thing a man can do is to wish her well and close the door forever. If you stay because you think leaving is unforgiving, you are being held hostage by a definition. You have to realize that a woman's remorse is measured by her actions during your absence, not her words during your presence. If you stay, you never get to see who she really is when the utility is gone. You have to create the void to see the truth. If she spins into another man's arms, the second you walk out, the apology was fiction. If she work on herself in the silence without demanding your attention, she might be human, but you cannot witness the growth while you are sucking the poison. You have to realize that the plea is the final test of your masculine perimeter. It is the moment she finds out if your walls are stone or smoke. If you let her in because she asked nicely after breaking the gate, you no longer have a fortress, you have a ruins. Behavioral observations suggest that men who choose themselves in the moment of the plea end up with 100% higher self-esteem, regardless of the relationship outcome. You are the source. You are the value. If the vessel is leaking, stop begging it to hold water. Most people react. Few people understand. If you're here to think deeper, not louder, you belong here. Subscribe and stay with the ones who choose clarity over noise. Leave a comment if you're part of the conversation. No ego, just awareness. The seventh major psychological concept you must master is the sunk cost of the soul. When she asks for forgiveness, she is banking on the fact that you have invested years, money, and emotional capital into her. She is threatening you with the loss of your investment. She wants you to feel like walking away is wasting your life. But the sovereign man knows that the money is gone, but the future is still yours to protect. Staying with a betrayer because you've put in the time is like buying a second ticket for a movie you already know is trash. The sovereign choice is to accept the loss today so you don't compound the interest on your heartbreak tomorrow. This leads into the false recovery curve. If you accept the plea, you will experience a honeymoon phase. She will be the perfect woman for 3 months. She will over-provide in every area. This is a psychological bribe. She is buying back the trust she stole. But because this behavior is performance-based, it is unsustainable. Once the fear of losing you fades, the character that allowed the betrayal returns. You will find yourself policing a ghost. You will become obsessed with her location, her phone, and her vibe. You aren't recovered. You are incarcerated. Let's look at the sovereign resurrection of Zayn. Zayn was a man who understood that respect is the oxygen of masculinity. When he caught his partner in a calculated lie, he didn't scream. He didn't interrogate. When she began the ritual of the plea, the panic attacks, the begging, the promises of therapy, Zayn did something that broke the matrix. He looked at her not with anger, but with clinical curiosity. Zayn is the winner in our story because he practiced the law of instant detachment. He didn't wait to feel better. He acted his way into a new reality. He told her, "I forgive you for being who you are, but I am removing the audience for this performance." Zayn excised her from his digital, financial, and social world within 24 hours. He moved his focus to a physical transformation and a new business venture that required relentless aggression. Zayn won because he realized that the only way to fix a shattered mirror is to walk away before you bleed out from the shards. He didn't give her a chance to lie again. He gave himself a chance to live again. A year later, Zayn was physically unrecognizable and financially sovereign. When she reached out with new tears, Zayn didn't feel the pull. He felt a distance so absolute, it was molecular. He proved that a man's success is the only closure that actually heals the wound. He didn't get over her. He outgrew the version of himself that needed her. The ninth major realization is the illusion of the special case. Your ego tells you that your relationship is different. You think that because you have kids, a mortgage, or history, the rules of psychology don't apply to you. This is masculine hubris. Betrayal is a symptom of character, and character doesn't flip because of a mortgage. If she could rationalize the betrayal while looking at your children, then she has an internal compass that is broken. You cannot fix her compass by changing your behavior. You can only get off the ship. We must also address the resource reclamation. When you accept the plea, you are voting to keep spending your life force on a bad asset. You are volunteering for years of suspicion. Sovereignty means protecting your resources. Your peace of mind is your most valuable currency. If she spent it without your permission, she has embezzled your soul. You don't negotiate with an embezzler. You change the locks on the vault. Furthermore, behavioral observations suggest that a man who stays is a man who accepts a subordinate reality. You will always be the one who was cheated on. She will always be the one who was forgiven. The power dynamic is permanently warped. She may love you, but she can no longer respect you because she knows your bottom line is negotiable. She knows that at the end of the day, you chose the comfort of the lie over the brutality of the truth. The final psychological shift is moving from rescue to release. You have to release the hero narrative. You cannot save a woman from her own nature. You cannot love her enough to make her loyal. Loyalty is an inherent quality, not a response to treatment. The sovereign man doesn't beg for loyalty. He screens for it. If it's missing, the relationship is defective. You return the item and move on. The reality is that the test isn't what she does. The test is what you do when you know what she did. You are the authority. You are the architect. If the building is rotten, you demolish it. You don't wallpaper over the mold and call it a second chance. I have a smart reflective question for the men who are standing at the crossroads of a betrayed life. If your best friend or your son came to you with the exact same evidence and the exact same plea from his partner, would you tell him to stay and work it out? Or would you tell him to get up, grab his crown, and walk out the door because he is too valuable to be a safety net for a liar? Drop a comment below and share your sovereign insight. What was the moment you realized that her tears were tactical rather than truthful? How did your world open up the second you stopped auditing her lies and started building your own truth? Let the Brotherhood know how you broke the fever of the hero trap. Your clarity is the compass for the man currently lost in the fog. Let's build the Council of Sovereign Men together. If you're still here, you weren't just watching. You were paying attention. That means you're done with noise and ready for clarity. If that's you, subscribe and stay connected to this space. Drop a comment with what stood out. I read them. Stay grounded. Stay aware. I'll see you in the next one.